Welcome to Chad Hates Carbs. Today we're going to be trying a keto pumpkin pie. I stole this recipe from Wholesome Yum. However, I'm going to do it the way that my wife prepared this for me for Thanksgiving, where she didn't bother with the pie crust. She just cooked it directly in the pan. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. The first thing it calls for is a 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a friend of mine that actually grows pumpkins, so I have 14.8 ounces of pumpkin left over from when my wife made the stuff before. So basically my 15 ounces are coming from an actual pie pumpkin that was grown locally, so that's pretty cool. Thanks, Ryan. So to that, we're going to add a half a cup of heavy cream. And then it calls for pumpkin pie spice specifically, and we don't have pumpkin pie spice because, you know, why? It's like Alton Brown's Unitasker, right? So what we've got here is it calls for 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. So what I've done is I've got 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, a full teaspoon of cinnamon. So that's my 2 teaspoons. And then I was like, well, the other things that pumpkin pie spice generally include are things that I'm not a huge fan of. So I've got the cloves and the ginger. I've got just like, let's see, it's 1/4 teaspoon. So like maybe 1/10 teaspoon of cloves and maybe 1/8 teaspoon of ginger. Just because the ratios of those things, in my mind, not great. I've also got 1 teaspoon of vanilla we're going to put in there. And then a 1/4, let's see, I think it's 1/4, of course there's nice pop-ups here, 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. So we're going to go ahead and add that in there. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to slap this into the KitchenAid, and we're going to scramble it up. We're going to do that on, it says I think medium-low, just because we don't want to like whip it at all. Medium-low speed until smooth. Don't overmix is what it says. So we'll do that, and I'll be back in just a second. Oh, forgot. 2 eggs, room temp. I had to wait to make this because I had to leave these on the counter and it's cold here. So let's get those eggs in there. That would have been unfortunate if I forgot those. 2 eggs. There we go. So we'll slap this with all of the ingredients in the mixer, and we'll get back to you in a minute. Man, I'm just doing great here. Here's another thing I forgot. 2/3 cup of erythritol. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Sorry about all the craziness here. So that's 2/3 cup of erythritol I just added in. Now we will take this over to the KitchenAid. See you in a minute. Alrighty, so we've got that all mixed up. So we're gonna go ahead and check it real quick. Yep, looks like we're good. So now all we're gonna do is pour this into a pie plate. Now remember, the recipe calls for there to be a pie crust in here. So it's not gonna be all the way full, and because there's not really anything that's gonna make this thing rise, it's not gonna sit as full as a normal pumpkin pie would sit in this container. I've also got my oven now preheating. Should have had that done earlier, but again, it's been a minute since I've done these recipes. So at any rate, it's at 325, and it's saying that we need to cook it for 40 to 50 minutes. So I'll probably come in and check it about 40 minutes, and then I'll give you the final rundown on how long it takes. So I'll be back then once I get this going up to full. All right. All right, it says pull it out when it's a little bit jiggly in the middle, and it's set up, but it is just a little bit jiggly. So we're gonna go ahead and call that good and let it sit. Now, specifically, it says that we're supposed to let it sit for an hour, and then you can refrigerate it or whatever, because you want it to set up to set up. I'm gonna probably go ahead and leave this at least for until after dinner. I might record it for my after dinner snack. So I'll be back in a few hours. So obviously I'm wearing different clothes. Today's the next day. So I did not eat any last night. My wife pointed out that this does not have the standard pumpkin pie split, which is kind of interesting because a lot of pumpkin pies, you'll have this kind of split in the middle. So even the one that she did, and she's a pro, had that split in it. So I'm kind of excited about the fact that I did not have that. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess that it was a function of the fact that the egg was room temp. Why do I think that? Wild guess. And the fact that they said that they didn't do that when my son and my wife made it for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to go ahead and try to dig this out. Came out almost okay. Definitely sticking to the bottom of the plate. Just a bit. We'll dig that out of there. Alright. Let's see how this is. And you better believe I'm going to get some whipped cream here in a minute, but let's eat it unadulterated. That's good stuff, man. It's interesting because it's not super strong. I would probably adjust the mix of the pumpkin pie spice a little bit. Might even put like a little bit more. It's got enough cinnamon. Maybe a little bit more nutmeg. But that, I mean, obviously that's to taste. Texture's really good. It's definitely, pumpkin pie. And I've had enough crustless pumpkin pies over the years that this is normal for me. It does have a little bit of that erythritol cooling effect. So I would say that that's definitely something to watch. If I was to make any adjustments, I would probably put maybe one of the monkfruit erythritol blends, or maybe like do half erythritol and half stevia, something like that, just so that you don't have the cooling effect, because that's can be off-putting to some folks. But no, it absolutely is good. I'm excited to have another good recipe. So with that, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Have a great day.